I want to talk today about belief and how certain types of belief could be damaging if they're integrated into a person's worldview and integrated in such a way that it influences their actions. I also would like to perhaps challenge the idea that a person's beliefs, the ideas themselves, that maybe they are not necessary for them to achieve the same experience that they're looking for. First of all, I'd like to talk about the difference between ideas and experience. If I go on a holiday to Tobago, which I'm lucky enough to actually have done, I remember going down to a beach called Pirates Bay and walking down a lovely cascade of stone steps, going to a secluded beach with a wonderful sunshine shining down upon me. I remember going out and swimming and looking at the coral reefs and all their beauty and seeing a mischievous octopus, or imputing mischievousness to it. It was just swimming around, trying to blend into the background. And I noticed that octopuses are pretty scaredy, it seems. But this isn't unreasonable. I mean, they can change colour, so you've got to think that they're quite used to running away from things and they've adapted to hide from things. In any case, I come back out of the water and I'm sitting there surrounded by beauty, surrounded by nature, with the sun shining down upon me. Now, I feel great in this case. How can I communicate this to somebody else? I've just done it to you. I've just explained to you as best I can using words how it feels, or at least I'm hoping you feel something. All I did was provide a description. But it's up to you to change that description into something you can relate to, which is a feeling of some kind. What does it feel like to have a warm sun on your face? What does this actually feel like? So this is the difference between ideas and their manifestations as words that I can communicate to you, and the feelings themselves. The feelings themselves exist without the words, exist without the ideas. Now this is, I believe, in any case, again another idea, that when somebody has this idea, for example, that there is a single, monotheistic, omnipotent being that is responsible for actions on the planet, and furthermore, that person is amenable to appeal, that you can pray to this person or this thing, and that it will listen to what you're saying and change. I don't believe this, although I can see why people might believe this, because it's nice, isn't it, to consider that you don't have to do everything yourself, that you're not responsible for yourself in the world, that you can ask this super being to intervene on your behalf. Now, I'm not saying this in any derogatory or degrading way. There's nothing funny about it, or nothing that I shouldn't take seriously. But what I'd like to ask is, does this person simply have that belief as a kind of logical proposition that they can use in further constructing sequences of logical statements that cohere to achieve action? Or at the heart of it, is there something below it which motivates them to somehow give weight to these statements and believe them? Now, I think that it's the latter. That the statements themselves are not the thing that convinces them to hold on to them. Let's take an example of some of these people. So they have a car accident or something like this. You can find lots of examples like this. These people really exist. And yeah, I saw one the other day. And the woman said that a voice inside her said, "Don't put your foot on the brake." And she didn't put her foot on the brake. And when the paramedics and the police came along, she survived, they said, "Oh, why didn't you put your foot on the brake? If you'd have done that, you would have crashed into, the adjacent lane, or you would have swerved. That's really clever of you not to have put your foot on the brake." Now, this is obviously an incredibly powerful experience for this person, because they think that they've been saved by some external entity. I don't believe that they have. Or even if they had, I don't believe it necessarily means that they should become a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim or a Buddhist or whatever else. Because what has actually happened to them? They heard a voice inside themselves, and they reacted to this. And they believe it saved their life. They don't know actually, of course, because they don't know what would happen if they had have braked. They don't know. Maybe their injuries would have been even less. Who knows? But in any case, that's actually all that happened to them. And it's a wonderful thing. But they take this, and this person, now believed in some kind of higher power. I think they believed in angels. It wasn't Christianity or something like this. But then they're going to take this and start integrating this into their life. The ideas, not what happened, but the ideas that came as a consequence of what happened. Now, there must be angels. In this case, there may be the ramifications of this kind of belief, the angels, for example, in this particular woman's case, which I'll speculate about, may not be harmful, to the rest of society and to other people, or even the self. Maybe it's not harmful. Maybe it is in superficial ways. For example, she may attribute thanks to angels for something, when really it's people, other people that have done something for her, for example. And this is kind of not a good thing to do, in my opinion. I think if somebody helps you, you should thank the person for helping you, person to person. And, if you believe in these angels intervening and doing things, I think that damages, or has the potential to damage, your ability to relate to other people directly. So in that sense, the belief itself, the idea, could be damaging. And of course, remember, the experience she had, that isn't damaging. It's when she carries that forward into action in the way she deals and treats others that it can become damaging. Now, if we look at other beliefs, if somebody has some experience that for whatever reason they cannot explain, and I don't need to try and explain it, there are many possibilities. These things, these ideas, these experiences can come from, we could start talking about the brain and the way it acts under stress, or we could just talk about the power of the brain itself to reflect and to push things up from what we call the subconscious into the mind. For example, in the case of this voice that this woman heard, it could be that she knew, she was smart enough to work it out herself, and it came to her in her head. But in any case, someone might have an experience like this. They take the idea and they don't understand what's happened, and they feel like they must explain it, which I think is, I guess, where the problem begins. They feel they need a logical explanation for what's happened, why they've heard this voice or whatever it is. So then they start attaching themselves to ideas and beliefs. Now, imagine the person attaches themselves, because of some experience, to a particular breed or species of Christianity, for example. Now, this may be okay to begin with, right? There doesn't seem to be much harm in it. I think there is, but for other reasons, because I believe in complete freedom, freeing humans, including myself, completely from ideas. But, they don't necessarily manifest as actual harmful things, that are going to harm relationships. But say this person believes in Christianity. Now the ideas themselves can start damaging the person when they follow them. So maybe they had this wonderful thing, they believed they were saved from this accident. They go to the church, and then this person tells them, you know what? Our God, He doesn't like people who express love to people of the same sex. He doesn't like this. And if you do that, then you're doing something bad. Okay, now these concepts then are loaded with emotion, and they're understood by the person, by the human, as feelings, bad. Now, they believe in this thing, or they've given weight to this thing because they think it saved their life, they heard this voice, or it gave them some other positive thing. It made them feel connected. They found themselves again, they got over their depression, whatever it is that this feeling inside helped them with, what they might call the feeling of God. But whatever label they want to give it, it was a feeling, without label to begin with. It was just a feeling. Now they've made these attachments, and someone said, homosexuality is a sin. This is a bad thing. And now these ideas, which they attached to these feelings, start feeding back on the feelings. So they start to believe it, because they believe that there's, as a consequence of holding this idea in their head, maybe that it's okay to see two men or two women expressing love to each other. They believe that as a consequence of that, bad things will happen to them, that they will feel bad things. Okay, maybe that might be going too far, because I'm relying on the person here, or you, to understand that that's ultimately who's at the center of this is you, right? Not other people, it's you. So then you get a person who's probably can be a very good person, and then because they've attached too much credence to ideas and these interpretations of ideas, which are flawed, as I said, or tried to illustrate in the beginning, that I cannot convey to you accurately what it was like for me to stand on that beach. You know, it was incredible, the actual experience of standing on that beach. It was amazing. There were so many subtleties to it. I cannot put it into words effectively. You literally had to be there to really feel all of it. We're incredibly sophisticated beings, and we can experience the world in a way that is way beyond what we can write down, in a book. I mean, that's the sign of a good book, right? One that can invoke emotion in you. But in any case, you get this person, maybe they start out, they are a good person at heart, and because of this attachment to ideas, they end up doing bad things. They end up treating homosexuals differently to other people because of this, because of the ideas that they've attached to. This is why I do not take my ideas from anywhere else except in here. And I don't put them into words. I just go with what feels right. Anyway, that's my position on belief. Thanks.